In a time of crisis, we cannot afford to govern out of anger or yield to the politics of the moment. My job, our job, is to solve the problem.
All right, President Obama outlined his economic recovery plan to Congress and the nation, hoping it will pull us all out of this recession.
Political analyst Tom Seraphin joins us to talk about the president's message and more. And you got a lot of numbers there in front of you. Are those statistics? What you got there?
Well, numbers and what the American public have been thinking about. You know, Gallup had a poll yesterday that showed the president's numbers. Approval rating now we're under 60% at 59%. But it's really an average of all the presidents that we've had since FDR. I mean, that's an average kind of rating for him right now. But the perception is that he's so much higher and doing so much more. Listen, last night it was an A-plus performance, and he used the term responsibility, asking for responsibility from all of us 10 times in that speech, used the term recovery 14 times. Nobody's used those terms as many times when they spoke to a joint session of Congress. He understands we're in a problem. Rick Santini from CNBC, you know, last week went on this rant and the entire world. Santelli. And he said last night, hey, I get it. The banks are not doing the job. We know we have to do something about it. So last night, I think he agreed with Rick.
Well, let's hear what the president had to say last night. What you thought was the most important part of his speech.
I know how unpopular it is to be seen as helping banks right now, especially when everyone is suffering in part from their bad decisions. I promise you, I get it.
Yeah, it was a very real moment in the speech, which I thought was interesting. Just watching him, he connected. It seemed like with his audience.
He had to connect because, you know, last night after the speech, when I worked in Washington, D.C., everybody would go to the Capitol Rotunda where all the cameras would set up, you know, dozens of cameras, and the senators and legislators and spinmeisters would go around and talk to everybody about what a great speech that was. Last night he had the A-team out there, Dave Axelrod, Press Secretary Gibbs, he had Rahm Emanuel, the Chief of Staff. They were all talking about how this was a moment of leadership, and we have to follow now. This is a moment of leadership. We need to follow. Now, there's going to be a great deal of pain this year. The Northern Trust Bank is talking about another 3 quarters of negative growth, unemployment over 9% by the end of this year. So, I mean, there's going to be some very tough medicine. But he's saying, hey, let's broaden the picture here. We're going to do health care. Education, we all need education. He understands that we need to be educated. He lived a half hour from this studio, and 50% of our kids don't graduate from high schools in the city of Chicago. I mean, that's a problem. He understands that issue. Health care, you know, I don't think we're going to get health care this year, but that's a goal. When I coached football, you know, we had the little kids, and we were always playing the big kids, and we were losing all the games, but we saw some growth in every game, and I would say, hey, next year when we stay together, we're going to be better.
Yeah.
And the following year,
still losing.
Yeah, we were still losing. But that's what he's telling the country. He's got to be optimistic.
Like, thanks a lot, Coach. So get our butts kicked.
That's what all the losing coaches say.
He is
looking ahead. That's what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, and that's
the long-term goal.
And that's what he's trying to tell us. Hey, everybody's been knocking him for the last 3 months because he's been doom and gloom, talking about the recession, the crisis. We may not get out of this. We may have real problems. Last night, it was kind of completely the reverse. I mean, he's listening to the numbers. He's responding to the people. And I think his media guys were very happy with the performance. A-plus performance.
Yeah.
Probably a B-, C+ on content because no details. But as far as moving the attitude and the confidence, we'll see what the market does today.
Yeah, and it was up yesterday, so that's a good sign.
And that's a good barometer of what they believe he might be doing. But we still have the $455 million, $1 billion omnibus bill going to the Congress today. 8,000, 9,000 earmarks. And, you know, he says that's not really his bill. It's the last Congress's bill. He says he inherited the problem from the Bush administration. But also he has to remember he's got to be careful here because 2 years of a Congress that are underneath Democratic rule. Nancy Pelosi's been running the Congress for 2 years.
Right.
They're part of the issue that he inherited.
Yeah.
Right.
So
by the way, she was up and down last night, wasn't she? 33 times.
33 times.
They were calling her Jack in the Box.
I thought Joe Biden, the vice president, kept looking.
Like,
do I have to do
sit
this
down,
again?
Yes, you have a chair.
Yes, that's right.
All right, thank you so much,
Thank you so much.